Recorded at 2024's GCSAA Conference and Trade Show in Phoenix, Arizona. Here's your host, SiteOne Golf Associate Max McGee.
Jon, can you introduce yourself and tell you where you're from?
Absolutely. I'm Jon Oppenheim. I'm at Granger, Indiana. It's on the border of Indiana and Michigan. It is a 36-hole property of Knollwood Country Club where I'm currently at. And a little fun fact that everybody likes to ask me about that is that we have part of the course goes into Michigan territory and then back through Indiana. So we made a sign that says, "Welcome to Indiana, welcome to Michigan." So it's a little photo shoot for some people. And they typically ask me a question about paraphernalia at that same time.
Yes, right. Yeah, we'll get to leave some somewhere and pick it up later. Huh?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Cool. Does that pose any logistical strains on you from a management standpoint in terms of how you have to treat certain turfs or anything like that?
Fortunately, it does not. That location's more hilly and probably more wooded area, but it's not necessarily any type of management that I have to change.
Cool. Kind of tell me how you got into this industry and what brought you to your current role.
So years ago, it all began from golf. I love golf. I love golfing. And those relationships that you build when you golf with that person, could be a stranger, could be a friend, whatever, those 4 hours, hopefully 4 hours of a round, that's something that you can't replace. Those memories, those conversations, you're out on the golf course. A lot of people think nobody's listening or whatnot, or a little therapy session potentially as well. So you get a lot of memories built on the golf course.
Yeah, it's therapeutic. It's a place to kind of tune out a little.
Yep.
And focus.
Absolutely.
With the direct company you are in, you're with. And
absolutely.
Yeah, it's healthy for mind and body for sure. With that too, with 36 holes, I'm sure that's a unique perspective for a manager.
Absolutely.
Did you grow up, on the previous courses you worked, were they multi-course facilities?
No, these were all, I've been in the private country club aspect. I did a short stint at public. I knew that private was my go-to. All of them have been 18-hole properties, and people that know me, salesmen, what have you, I'm a very organized person, so adding another course, obviously the first couple weeks stressed me out, but in time I figured out some ways to get around and make it happen.
So when you got to your course, it was not 36, they added on?
No. My previous life at a club of 18 holes.
Okay.
I knew I was ready to take on 36, and for myself, I like to stand out in a way in my profession, and I think people that manage multi-course sites, I think are a little bit above 18-hole. Not knocking at anybody that does 18-hole or anything.
You appreciate the challenge?
100%.
Gotcha.
I'm one that likes a challenge, and Knollwood did give me a lot of challenges when I started, and I feel like some of them off my to-do list has been knocked out so far.
Always interesting, always something to keep you on your toes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything day-to-day, current industry trends that you notice, points of contention that might cause trouble for you, whether it be labor, local restrictions, water restrictions, things of that nature? Are any of those that you're currently dealing with that you want to talk about?
I think everybody in the market, it's not even golf necessarily. The labor is always going to be an issue. For myself, being 36 holes and how many people it takes to manage those two properties, it's always a factor for myself. Luckily, where I'm at, we're in a great location, very community-based, so we have younger talent that will come and try. Not necessarily always succeed, but they will try. And it's a way for some of these younger kids get to see what we actually do on a regular basis, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is not as easy as I thought it was. So sometimes that's a deterrent, but sometimes it's like another aspect of respect that we get from the younger generation.
Yeah, well said. along those same lines, we were speaking with another superintendent, and he had mentioned one of the tougher challenges he has is grooming assistants, not just to grooming, but to find that second assistant that just came out of school.
It's a short list.
It's gotten shorter.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is that, you think, a product of less participation at the university level?
I don't think it's that. I think the labor aspect scares kids.
Outside, working with hands.
100%. The clientele that I get, to show them a string trimmer, show them anything with an engine, and then
it could be daunting to someone that's not used to that sort of.
And then they have to take a break to look at their phone for social media, and I have to explain to them, like, nobody cares what you're doing right now. Like, you're trying to pay you.
Yes.
And this is what we need to do. We got to stay on task. Nobody cares what you're doing on your Facebook, Twitter, any of that stuff. It's a constant. And I'm a very bold person, bold manager. I'm not a yeller. I don't step over the line, but I want them to understand that nobody really cares what you're doing right now. They really don't. So
correct.
Continue with your career, make money, do something for yourself. All that comes later. You don't need to be showing it off or checking what everybody else is doing.
And it's a good point. Yeah, a lot of people think that because they're on social media, people automatically care.
Right.
And that's not it never is a direct correlation.
No, just good work ethics.
Yes.
That's what they need. Come, do your job, do what you're supposed to do, and go home.
Good things follow that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
In the golf course industry, as a golf course superintendent, it's quite a niche profession. When you're sitting next to someone on an airplane or having dinner with someone, if you tell, and you just met them and you tell them you're a golf course superintendent, the chances that they know what you do on a day-to-day basis is not probable. And sometimes that comes with some misconceptions that the public can produce. Is there any specific misconception that you wish to dispel or kind of correct?
I think a lot of people don't really understand what a superintendent is. In particular, when you speak to somebody on that flight here, just a quick conversation, what do you do? And I say, golf course superintendent. They're like, oh, you just play golf. And I'm like, I do get to play golf, you're right, but I have to manage the area that you actually play golf on.
Exactly.
They're like, oh my gosh.
That's its own job?
Yeah. Oh, you don't give lessons too? And I'm like, no, it's not. That's a different person. That's a golf professional. I'm a golf course superintendent. So I do a little explaining. I don't get too detailed, and you can tell if somebody's engaged or not on that conversation.
Yep.
Typically, they're wowed by that. I would say more males kind of get more intrigued by the science behind it. Some females do as well. But I don't try to put too much science behind the conversation.
Don't lose them.
Yeah, it's not necessarily dumbing it down, but it really is dumbing it down to let people understand what we do.
Like in any profession, you got to be able to, speak the layman terms.
Absolutely.
And to keep them engaged in that kind of thing. We kind of touched on some of the younger workforce, and you mentioned, not being too engaged in social media when not necessary, or obviously it doesn't help you. Is there any other advice you'd give to young assistants or newcomers to the industry to get to that next level if this is a path they want to pursue?
Absolutely.
What kind of advice would you offer?
So, and then I say this to any of the kids that I'm trying to mentor, male, female, whatever. And my parents have kind of instilled this in myself, is do something that you want to be passionate about. And I know people say that, but I'm being serious. The passion will drive you further. That pride that you have in your job, you can't build that into somebody. You either going to possess that or you're not going to possess that. And in my career, that passion is what got me to the point that I'm at right now. I have no problem being at work longer, and I know that cheesy words that people say a lot is, I never worked a day in my life. I do work. I'm not going to take away from that. I work very hard. But I would say ultimately there's certain days that I'll drive in my cart checking things out, waving at Mrs. Jones or seeing a golfer chip a ball or miss their putt or whatever. And I'm thinking, man, I'm getting paid right now. This is awesome. I love it.
I'm out.
sun shining, birds chirping, that whole list. It's something that I love what I do, and I know the path that I took is the right path.
It's self-rewarding.
100%.
Yeah. And you got to remind yourself of those days when things aren't always going.
We're not always sunny days, that's for sure.
What path forward do you see with superintendents in the next 10 years in terms of purchasing, in terms of how they go to market, in terms of how they purchase products that they need? Is it an online-based service? Is it digital? Or is it still that one-on-one communication physically in your office meeting type? What do you see?
So, my friends over at SiteOne Landscapes, they're very good about having the options. I have other companies that do the one-on-one stop by. I think having that option for them to stop by on a regular basis, communicate, kind of just keep that friendship going. But allowing you to have the app where you can push, click things that I really don't need to talk to so-and-so right now. I just want this delivered. That's the option I think that's going to continually driving the market. It's just the ease. It's the same as groceries to go. People are starting to do that more and more. I do it. I don't really need to go walk down every aisle and buy things that I don't want to buy.
Correct.
It gets right to the point. Give me what I need,
and you don't forget.
No,
if you're painting some boundary lines or something, and you just reach for your last can of red paint or something,
I order right then.
There you go.
2 case, know that it's coming. It's on its way.
Probably don't have to have a long conversation with your SiteOne key account rep over paint.
No, none of that. None of that.
There's not much debate and back and forth about that kind of thing.
And you don't forget too. So you have it right there. Your phone's with you at all times.
Yeah.
I use 10 of those. I'm gonna order 20 right now, and it's on its way.
And it remembers you ordered that too, Absolutely. So it's already ready to go on your account.
Yep.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. Robotics, has that made a way into your?
Not into my facility.
Okay.
I've seen them in action.
Yep.
I know they've been around for a long time.
Yep.
My past life at another country club, we actually had some investors that put money into them. That I really saw them in action and knew about them previous to them coming to market. And I thought it's a great idea. I think the misconception, though, that we're going to lose labor because the robot's doing what it's supposed to be doing, I think you're still going to need people to do on the day-to-day basis. Will it save some labor? Absolutely will, but it depends what type of facility you have for that.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's very true. Last question. Over your course of however many years you've been in the golf industry, which is how many years?
22.
In last 22 years, what's the craziest thing you've experienced or seen on your golf course or at a golf course?
So I'm going to keep this one PG on this one.
Thank you.
The radio. It was the day before member guests, and my members will remember this. It was my first year in taking on my role as superintendent, and kids in the neighborhood actually went and took 49 divots out of one of my greens that we had to have ready at 9 a.m. For the members to go out, which was a very expensive member guest round. And it was day 2. Man. My staff, the beauty of it is my staff came together, myself included. We filled all the divots with, plugged them out. We top dressed the green, rolled the green, watered the green, and it was ready to play, which showed the membership who I was and who my staff was.
And how much you care.
Absolutely.
And take ownership.
We took care of it quickly. And the beauty of it, the kids went and put it on TikTok, the video, and got back to me. And obviously legal action happened with that. But they had every single thing on video. And they even urinated in the cup tier.
So
it was all on video, and
social media strikes again.
Absolutely. So it's kind of obviously in the moment you're very frustrated and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. But at the end of it, it was like, this really was a great thing to show.
It was almost a team building exercise, and it proved how much
like a fire drill. He was like, let's see what we're made of right now. and I didn't know them that well. You know, it was year in, and it really showcased me my staff.
Went from a dress rehearsal to a full on.
This is it. This is it.
Go time.
Absolutely.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you for taking time out of your day
a pleasure.
today, John. We appreciate it, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of the show and enjoy the rest of the week.
Thanks for tuning in to Confessions of the Craft. Ensure you never miss an episode by subscribing to the podcast so you can be the first to hear new episodes and discover previous ones. Follow SiteOne on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn for the latest trends and industry updates.